Good morning, everyone. Jim Clark here to share another contemplation with you from the Synchronicity Sanctuary here in Central Virginia. It's a nice, cool March morning here, seasonably cool, and just what it should be. So, the topic for today, the contemplation, the focus that I want to share with you is the following: illusion and truth are the same one. We have never left home, and home has never left us. Manifest reality is illusion that we are destined to see through. So, so this is a contemplation that I worked with many years ago. I could say that it's not something that stops working. It's a focus that when you live a holistic lifestyle and you meditate on a daily basis and you go into yourself to discover yourself, these are the kinds of things that come to your awareness. And then you get to a point where you experience the simultaneous existence of illusion and truth. So you cannot have one without the other simply because that's what is. So the world goes on, we keep breathing, we get up in the morning, we put on the suit, our ego, and we go out in the world and we do what we have to do, irregardless of what we think, what we believe, or even what we experience in relation to what I am referring to. If you're experiencing something like I do, if you've been meditating for a long time and you have reached a degree of illumination where you experience your truth energetically and you experience the illusion of the world that you're in at the same time, then it's maybe not intellectually understandable, but you understand that that's what is. And that's perfectly okay because you're not confined to illusion anymore. It's doing what it's supposed to do as you are doing what you're supposed to do. You're living the life that you came here to live. You're getting the experience that you came here to get. And that's all that's really happening here in the world. The dramas and the stories that go on around the happenings in the world, whether it's today or 1,000 years ago, it's what stories we make up about what's happening. It's always about what's happening. It's never what's happening because we have no direct experience until we reach a point of illumination where that experience is a constant. So something happens, you might experience fear or you might experience intense curiosity, and you might want to understand something that's going on in your world, and yet you can't directly go to that which you are observing to experience what is happening to confirm or deny what you think about it. So there's this chasm, if you will, between what we experience through our senses and our mental stories we create about what we're experiencing visually or whatever. And then there's what we experience in ourselves is also happening. It could be fear, it could be curiosity, it could be love, it could be all kinds of things. But nonetheless, it brings home a point that the eye never sees itself. We see what appears to be a solid world made of materials, but we know from our own science today that when you look closely at the material world, it disappears and it turns into something more like energy. And that even that energy gets more and more subtle. So there's a depth to what appears to be solid that we cannot perceive with our naked eye. And we know that today, just as we know that there's so much going on in the universe today that we are now able to perceive because we have built the instruments to allow us to see that far into the macrocosm. And as we do this, the day-to-day life that human beings live doesn't seem to change that fast or that much, does it? I mean, sure, we have technology and we have plugged into the internet and we have enabled ourselves to communicate almost instantly all around the world. Yet, what can we communicate and what can we share at the level of perception and experience when it is confined to the belief and the identification that you are just flesh and blood human being and that life is something that's happening with you every day, and it could be good, it could be bad, it could be threatening, it could be all kinds of things, right? But nonetheless, whatever your reality is, it seems to be inalterable. And maybe it's there for a reason that way. Maybe it doesn't have to change. Our desire to change things and our desire to control things and our desire to create something that we perceive to be safe or comfortable or loving and so forth seems to be a struggle for most people in the world. And perhaps the reason for that is that we already have what we think we want. We already possess all the answers and we possess all that we need within us. But we just don't know how to tap into that reality. We don't know how to manifest that in our experience. So we're kind of stuck with the illusion of being a human being surrounded by other human beings and all these objects, the animals, the earth and the forests and the mountains and the oceans and all that. And we're sort of like still at the whims of the weather patterns and so forth, and was no way to control it. So the idea of control and the idea of creating something that's safe doesn't seem to match the experience that most human beings have in the world. Even if you are somewhat illumined, okay, even if you do experience the truth of who you are and still maintaining a human form, it doesn't mean that human form is going to exist forever by any means, and it doesn't mean that what the human form is subject to is any different. You might have a foothold on being much more relaxed and much more at peace with yourself, which is a huge step, but still, it's a temporary experience, and it's not meant to be a forever experience. The forever experience doesn't experience itself, is what I'm kind of pointing to here, okay? Which brings us to the illusion coexisting with the truth. Perhaps there is an intention to all this creation that allows creation to pretend to experience itself. And in that pretense, it creates itself as human or animal or air or earth, whatever, and then goes through whatever it goes through to complete that experience until it is fulfilled in that experience. And once it's fulfilled, then it moves on to create something else, constantly creating, constantly regenerating some new experience simply for the entertainment of it. But in order to have that perspective, you must have the experience of the truth of who you are, which goes beyond being human and beyond physicality, beyond the illusion that there is a solid world that is an unalterable truth. So until you get to that point in your life, until you evolve to that point of understanding through your experience, life is a challenge. Life is simply survival. Life is trying to get by from one day to the next. Life is pursuing things and wanting things. The oldest well-known teacher of meditation and illumination, of course, was the Buddha. Most people know something about the Buddha. And one of his famous quotes, of course, is, "All suffering comes from desire. And yet, if you try to stop desiring, you'll find that you can't. Desire is something just built in." So, desiring not to desire is a desire itself, right? Any attempt to change, alter, or control the world you're in or yourself as a human being. To alter the way you are, the way you look, the way you age, and so forth, is fruitless. It can't happen. It can only generate more stress and tension and make your life more miserable. So, in the long and short of it all, everything is as it is because it is. And you exist as you do, and you are complete and whole unto yourself as you are. But to reach that point of experiential understanding is something that takes effort. It takes a commitment. And that commitment must come from inside yourself. In other words, you must have evolved yourself to the point where blind acceptance of what appears to be real is no longer something that's in you. You have something else. You reach the point where you're looking for something more, something deeper, something that has more, is more substantial, even though it may not be physical, and something that's uplifting rather than something that you suffer through. And this is what's going on the planet. It's the only thing that's ever happened amongst human beings is that they are evolving through their experiences to get to that point where they're ready to make that leap, because it takes a huge effort to make that leap. It's not something that comes easy. The common acceptance of meditation these days, because it's supposed to help you relax and address anxiety and so on and so on. There's some truth to that, but there's a lot to meditation that's very challenging. And if you don't understand what you're doing with meditation, if you don't understand how to manage it as you go deeper into it, then you'll probably just stop, because it'll become too intense, and you will look at that intensity as something negative. Something's not right. I'm not doing it right. I'm not meditating correctly, and so forth and so on. And then it'll go by the wayside because it gets to be too much. I know this from my own experience many, many years ago when I first started to meditate. Before I found a teacher who could lead me through the various stages of my own evolution so that I could understand what was going on and manage it. So that when I got too expanded and there was just too much energy and there's too much data coming to the surface that was being released in reference to the expanded experience that I was having, well, I learned what to do here and how to manage that and how to regard it and how to see it for what it really is. It's a great sign. It means that your meditation's working. It means that you're evolving at a very fast rate compared to someone who is just living a life as a human being without any awareness whatsoever beyond that. So my suggestion to everyone is meditate, 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 but do so in a circumstance and in a way where you have someone who has journeyed the journey and can give you some help along the way, some guidance and some ways to teach you how to manage your evolution and to maintain an accelerated evolution through your own practice. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, and I'll be back again next Monday to share another contemplative focus with you. Thank you.